I have read a couple of books where a more or less radical change of our living conditions is at the heart of the content. Leave the World Behind by Ruman comes into mind, which was a finalist for the National Book Award in 2020 and became a major Netflix movie starring Julia Roberts and Mahershala Ali, released in December 2023. You might have seen that one. I also think of Weather by Jenny Offill, also this book from 2020 and at the time shortlisted for the Women's Prize, where we meet librarian Lizzie, who is extremely concerned of climate change. Lydia Kiesling's novel Mobility was published on August 1 by Crooked Media Reads, a fairly new publishing house that was founded by Jon Favreau, John Lovett, and Tommy Vietor, the man behind the podcast Pod Save America. All three of these men have previously worked for President Barack Obama. Favreau wrote a lot of speeches for Obama, and you might have heard their podcast, Pod Save America. Kiesling, the author, debuted in 2018 with her novel The Golden State, which gave her a spot in the prestigious 5 Under 35 list that the National Book Foundation puts out every year in the US. There, she has a female protagonist named Daphne who has become a mother and who flees the ever more getting expensive city of San Francisco, California for a new start and a new life in the desert. Lydia Kiesling's father is the former diplomat John Brady Kiesling, who served in Greece and Armenia among many other countries. Lydia herself, she has studied Turkish languages and lived for a while in Istanbul in Turkey as a teacher. In the novel Mobility, we are meeting Bunny, a 15-year-old teenager in Baku, the capital of Azerbaijan, who lives there with her family as an expat. She's the daughter of an American diplomat. We will hang out with Bunny, or later as she matures and becomes an adult and moves up the career ladder more or less a little bit. She retakes her real first name, which is Elizabeth. We are in the world of the oil industry at that point. Azerbaijan is an oil country, and she and her family, they come from Beaumont, Texas, and that is where she settles after having lived abroad for, well, the most part of her childhood, her juvenile years. Bunny is not very ambitious. She looks for a job to pay her rent and put food on the table, and she, after a stint at a company as a proofreader of texts she not really understood, she gets a new job. She gets a new job in a smaller company which is in the oil industry that plays a greater role in Texas still. Lydia Kiesling has written this novel in several chapters. She is describing some relevant and some more like normal incidents in Bunny's private life and also in her working life that almost could be described as connected short stories, short episodes or shorter episodes of her life. Not snippets, but a couple of pages always long. Slowly, Bunny will advance in the ranks in the male-dominated world of oil, and she finally becomes a person that represents females in the industry, and she attends panels and conferences in and outside America doing this, representing the women in the oil industry that is changing, of course, is trying to change. One of these conferences will take her back to the Baku of her teenage years that has dramatically changed since the late 1990s, when oil companies from the United States made enormous deals and companies in Azerbaijan built modern and luxurious skyscrapers all across the city that have completely changed the picture of the city, the image of Baku. Lydia Kiesling, who was born in 1984, has written and researched more than 5 years for this novel. In the beginning, she wanted to write about the expat experience that also has influenced her upbringing. Mobility is a key word for the diplomatic service, of course, and Bunny remembers a lot of the places and countries she has lived with her family. She has many, many memories from Greece, from Armenia, from Azerbaijan. Also, Kiesling has researched a lot about styles and products used in the years we are following Bunny. So if you are female and born between 1980 and 1990, you will probably find a lot of habits and a lot of brands from your childhood or YA days in this novel. This will be very specially interesting for you. In a lot of ways, Mobility is a book about a female millennial with an expat experience, struggling to find her place in life, finding a job that pays the bills without making her really happy, I guess. Then she's marrying a nice but honestly seemingly boring man and longing for the exotic adventure, for the exciting adventure, but only as a shorter distraction from everyday life. It also is a book about the oil industry. I said that before. It's just happened, says Kiesling. First, she intended to write about the experience, but then she set the book in Baku and in an oil country. Personally, I remember very well when I went to Russia in the early 1990s and in the domestic airport Domodedovo in Moscow, in the Interist terminal of Moscow Domodedovo, I was waiting for my flight to Omsk or to Barnaul while there were half a dozen or more American men with big cowboy hats waiting for a flight to Tyumen in the Russian oil region to make deals. Kiesling has read a great number of books researching for her novel, and she actually has mentioned The Oil and the Glory, The Pursuit of Empire and Fortune on the Caspian Sea by Steve Levine from 2007 as an important one for her. I enjoyed reading Mobility and Kiesling's portrait of the time and the person bunny who is not especially lovable, not especially interesting, just an average white liberal woman living her life, working in an industry that is not so popular on this planet anymore, that is actually hurting the planet, not really thinking about the impact or the political events in the world around her, like so many others probably. I got this book as an ARC by the publisher, by Crooked Media, and by NetGalley, and I'm very, very grateful for that. Thank you, Crooked Media. Thank you, NetGalley. I see you soon in another video on this channel. Hit the subscribe button, slap a like, and goodbye, or as they say in Azeri, Saul.